The rain fell hard on the broken streets of what was once Seoul. The year was 2347, and Earth was dying. 3 years ago, the Vec came from the stars. They were tall, gray creatures with 4 arms and black eyes that saw everything. They moved like shadows and thought like one mind. Every Vec was connected to every other Vec. When one saw you, they all saw you. When one hunted you, they all hunted you. Humanity lost the war in 6 months. Now, only small groups survived in underground bunkers, hiding like mice from cats. Tay crawled through a collapsed tunnel, his body broken and bleeding. He was 28 years old, but tonight he felt like an old man. His left leg was badly hurt. His uniform was torn and covered in blood. Some of it was his. Some of it belonged to his friends who died 2 hours ago. He had been a combat medic before the world ended. He knew how to save lives, but he could not save his unit. The Vec found them in an old subway station. 12 soldiers went in. Only Tay came out. He did not understand why he was still alive. The Vec had walked right past him. Their black eyes had looked at him, but they did not see him. It was like he was not there, like he was invisible. This had happened before, many times. Tay thought he was going crazy. The tunnel was dark and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling. Tay pulled himself forward with his hands. His legs screamed with pain, but he did not stop. If he stopped, he would die. He had to find shelter before morning dawned. Then he saw it. A metal door, hidden behind fallen rocks. It was a bunker entrance. Tay used his last strength to reach the door. He hit it with his fist, once, twice, 3 times. Then everything went black, and he fell to the ground. Inside Bunker 17, the alarm went off. Yuna looked at the security screen with cold eyes. She was 32 years old, with short black hair and a scar on her left cheek. She had been a soldier once. Now she was the leader of this bunker. 34 women lived here, survivors of the apocalypse. They had stayed alive for 2 years by following one simple rule: trust no one from outside. "There is a man at the door," said Hana, standing beside her. Hana was younger, 24, with kind eyes and a soft voice. She was Yuna's second-in-command and closest friend. "I can see that," Yuna said. Her voice was flat and hard. On the screen, they watched the man collapse. He was young, covered in blood, and clearly dying. But Yuna did not move to help him. "We cannot let him in," she said. "Every time we let someone in, the Vec find us within days. We lost 11 people last year because of a stranger. But he will die out there," Hana said. "That is not our problem." Hana wanted to argue, but she knew Yuna was right. The bunker had survived because of hard choices. Still, something made her look at the screen one more time. That was when she saw it. 3 Vec drones appeared in the tunnel behind the man. They were small, fast machines that the Vec used to hunt humans. Their red lights scanned the darkness, searching for life. Hana held her breath. The drones moved closer to the man. Their lights passed over his body once, twice, 3 times. Then they stopped. The drones turned around and flew away. They did not attack. They did not report. They simply left, as if the man was not there. "Did you see that?" Hana whispered. Yuna's eyes were wide. In 2 years of fighting, she had never seen anything like this. The Vec saw everything. They found everyone. No human could hide from their machines, but this man did. "That is impossible," Yuna said. "I saw it with my own eyes," Hana replied. They looked right at him and did not see him. For a long moment, Yuna said nothing. Her mind was racing. This could be a trap. The Vec were smart. Maybe they wanted the women to open the door. Maybe the man was bait. But what if he was not? What if this man had something that could help them survive? "Open the door," Una said finally. Bring him inside, but keep him in the holding room. I want guards on him at all times. Hannah moved quickly. She called 2 other women to help her. Together, they opened the heavy bunker door and dragged the unconscious man inside. He was heavier than he looked, and his skin was burning with fever dot as they carried him through the corridors. Hannah noticed something strange. The man was talking in his sleep, whispering the same words over and over. They cannot hear me. They have never been able to hear me. Hannah looked at his face. He seemed ordinary, just a young man with messy black hair and tired features. There was nothing special about him, but those words stayed in her mind. They put him in a small room with a locked door. The bunker's doctor, an older woman named Sue, cleaned his wounds and gave him medicine. She said he would live, but he needed rest. Una stood outside the room, watching through the window. What do you think he is? Hannah asked. I do not know, Una admitted, but I intend to find out. Outside, the rain continued to fall on the dead city. Somewhere in the darkness, vet patrols searched for survivors. They found many that night. They always did, but they did not find Bunker 17. And for the first time in 3 years, a human had made them retreat without firing a single shot. Something had changed. Something important. Una could feel it in her bones. Tay opened his eyes 3 days later. The ceiling above him was gray metal. The air smelled clean, like recycled oxygen. He was lying on a small bed in a room he did not recognize. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then the pain came back. His leg hurt. His head hurt. Everything hurt. But he was alive. The door opened and a woman walked in. She was older, maybe 45, with gray hair tied back in a simple knot. She wore a white coat and carried a small computer tablet. You are awake, she said. Her voice was calm and professional. My name is Sue. I am the doctor here. How do you feel? Like I was hit by a truck, Tay said. His throat was dry. Where am I? You are in Bunker 17. We found you outside our door 3 days ago, half dead. You are lucky to be alive. Tay tried to sit up, but his body refused. He fell back onto the bed with a groan. Do not move too much, Sue said. Your leg was badly damaged. I fixed it, but you need time to heal. Thank you, Tay said, for saving me. Sue did not smile. Do not thank me yet. Our leader has many questions for you, and not everyone here is happy that we let you in. Before Tay could respond, the door opened again. 2 women entered. One was tall with short hair and cold eyes. The other was younger, with a softer face, but a cautious look. I am Una, the tall woman said. I lead this bunker. This is Hannah, my second. You will answer our questions honestly. If you lie, we will know. And you will not like what happens next. Tay nodded slowly. I understand. Ask me anything. Who are you? Where do you come from? Why were the Vec not able to see you? The last question made Tay pause. You saw that? We have cameras in the tunnel, Una said. 3 Vec drones scanned you. Their lights passed right over your body. But they did not attack. They did not even report your location. They just left. Explain. Tay was quiet for a long moment. He had spent 3 years running from this truth. 3 years thinking he was losing his mind. Now, for the first time, someone else had seen it too. I do not know how to explain it, he finally said. It started after the invasion. The Vec would look at me, but they would not see me. I thought I was imagining things. Then it happened again and again. I walked through their patrols. I passed their checkpoints. Once, I even entered one of their ships by accident. They looked right at me, but their eyes were empty, like I was not there. Una's expression did not change, but Hannah's eyes went wide. That is impossible, Una said. The Vec see everything. They share one mind. If one sees you, they all see you. I know, Tay said. But it is true. I cannot explain it. I just know that they cannot hear me. They cannot sense me. It is like I exist outside their world. Sue stepped forward, her eyes bright with interest. May I run some tests? I was a xenobiologist before the war. I studied the Vec's biology and their hive network. If what you say is true, there must be a scientific reason. Una looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Do it. Find out what makes him different. Over the next 2 days, Sue ran every test she could think of. She scanned Tay's brain. She measured his heart rate. She analyzed his blood and his nervous system. She compared his data to everything she knew about the Vec. On the 3rd day, she called everyone to her small laboratory. I found something, she said. Her voice was excited, but also scared. It is incredible. It should be impossible. But the data does not lie. She showed them a diagram on her screen. It looked like a wave pattern. This is a human neural frequency, she explained. Every human brain produces electrical signals at a certain frequency. The Vec hive mind operates on a similar frequency. That is how they detect us. They sense our brain waves like a radio picks up signals. She pointed to another pattern on the screen. This is Tay's neural frequency. Look at it. It is completely different. His brain operates on a wavelength that exists outside the Vec's range. They literally cannot perceive him. To their senses, he does not exist. The room was silent. He is invisible to them, Hannah whispered. Not invisible, Sue corrected. He is undetectable. Their minds cannot process his existence. It is like trying to hear a sound that is too high or too low for your ears. The sound exists, but you cannot hear it. Una stared at Tay with new eyes. How is this possible? Is it a mutation? Yes, Sue said. A random genetic mutation. 1 in a billion, maybe 1 in 10 billion. His neural pattern is unique in all of human history. And it just happens to be the one pattern that the Vec cannot detect. Tay sat quietly, trying to understand. For 3 years, he had thought he was broken. He had thought something was wrong with him. Now he learned that the thing he feared most was actually a gift. A young woman named Bora stood in the corner, her arms crossed. She was 19 years old, with angry eyes and a sharp tongue. She had lost her entire family to the Vec. So what? She said. He is invisible to the aliens. That does not mean we can trust him. Men have brought us nothing but trouble. Bora, Hannah said gently. No, I will say what I think. We survived for 2 years without any man's help. Why should we change now? Una raised her hand for silence. Enough. We do not need to decide anything tonight. She looked at Tay. For now, you will stay here. You will follow our rules. You will not cause problems. Is that clear? Yes, Tay said. I understand. And thank you for giving me a chance. Later that night, Tay lay alone in his small room. He could hear voices through the walls. The women were talking about him. Some were curious. Some were scared. Some were angry. He closed his eyes and thought about what Sue had said. 1 in a billion. For 3 years, he had been running and hiding, using his strange gift to survive. But he had never thought about what it could mean for others. What if he could use this power to help people? What if he could fight back? The thought was terrifying and exciting at the same time. Outside his window, the world was dark and broken. The Vec controlled everything above ground. They hunted humans like animals. They had won the war, but maybe, just maybe, they had overlooked something important. They had overlooked Tay, and that mistake might cost them everything. 2 weeks passed, and Tay's legs slowly healed. He spent his days in the bunker, learning its layout and meeting its people. 34 women lived here, each with her own story of survival and loss. Some were soldiers. Some were scientists. Some were just ordinary people who refused to die. Most of them watched Tay with suspicious eyes. They had learned the hard way not to trust strangers. But a few, like Hannah and Sue, showed him kindness. One evening, Una called a meeting in the main hall. Everyone gathered around a large table with a map spread across its surface. The map showed Korea, but it was covered in red marks. Each mark represented a Vec stronghold. "We have a problem," Una said. Her voice was hard and serious. "Our food supplies are running low. Our water filtration system is breaking down. In 3 months, this bunker will become a grave." The women murmured among themselves. Fear spread through the room like a cold wind. "We have 2 choices," Una continued. "We can move to another location and hope we find better resources. Or we can fight." "Fight?" Bora laughed bitterly. "Fight what? The Vec control everything. Every time humans try to resist, they die. The aliens see our plans before we make them. They know what we are thinking." "She is right," said another woman. "The Vec hive mind connects millions of them. We cannot surprise them. We cannot outsmart them." Una nodded slowly. That was true. Until now. She looked at Tay. Everyone turned to stare at him. Tay felt his face grow hot, but he did not look away. "Sue has confirmed it," Una said. "This man is invisible to the Vec. They cannot detect him. They cannot read his thoughts. He's a blind spot in their entire network. So what?" Bora demanded. "One invisible man cannot win a war." "Maybe not win," Una said. "But he can do something no human has done in 3 years. He can get close to the Vec Queen." Silence fell over the room. The Vec Queen was a legend, a nightmare that every survivor knew. She was the heart of the hive mind. She controlled every Vec on Earth from an orbital station floating above Sol. Every attack, every hunt, every kill came from her orders. Sue stepped forward. "I have been studying Vec technology for years. I believe I can build a neural disruptor, a device that can damage the hive mind's connection. If we plant it close enough to the Queen, it could break the link between her and her soldiers." "Break the link?" Hannah asked. "What would that do?" "The Vec cannot function alone," Sue explained. "Without the Queen's guidance, they become confused, disorganized. Their bodies shut down. If we destroy her connection, every Vec on this planet will fall." The women began talking all at once. Some were excited. Some were terrified. Some thought the plan was insane. "This is suicide," Bora said loudly. "The Queen's station is in orbit. How do we even get there? And even if we do, the place will be full of Vec guards." "Tay can get past them," Una said. "He can carry the device into the Queen's chamber. The guards will not see him. And what about the rest of us?" Bora asked. "We are not invisible. We will die the moment we step outside." Tay stood up. His leg still hurt, but he ignored it. "I will go alone if I have to. You have all done enough. You saved my life. I owe you everything." "No," Una said firmly. "You cannot do this alone. You will need help getting to the station. You will need protection when things go wrong. And things will go wrong." "I will go with him," Hannah said immediately. "I know the surface better than anyone." "Me too," said a woman named Minji. She was 29 years old, with strong arms and a quick smile. Before the war, she had been an engineer. Now she was their explosives expert. "If we need to blow something up, I am your girl." Another woman raised her hand. Her name was Nari. She was 35, tall and quiet, with steady eyes. "I was a pilot before the invasion. If we need to steal a Vec shuttle, I can fly it. Yuna looked at the 4 volunteers. Then she looked at the rest of the women. Anyone else? No one moved. That is fine, Yuna said. 5 is enough. More would be too dangerous. You are going too? Hannah asked in surprise. Of course, Yuna said. I will not send my people into danger without leading them myself. That is not who I am. Laura stood up, her face twisted with anger. This is madness. You are throwing your lives away for a man we barely know. How can you trust him? Yuna walked up to Bora and put a hand on her shoulder. I know you are scared. I know you have lost people. We all have. But we cannot hide forever. If we do nothing, we die slowly in this bunker. If we fight, at least we die trying to save our world. Laura pulled away. Fine, go. But when you fail, do not expect me to more. She walked out of the room, leaving silence behind her. Tay watched her go. He understood her pain. He had felt the same anger, the same hopelessness for 3 years. But something had changed inside him. For the first time since the invasion, he felt something like hope. When do we leave? He asked. 1 week, Sue answered. I need time to finish the neural disruptor. It will not be perfect, but it will work. 1 week, Yuna repeated. Use that time to prepare. Train. Rest. Say goodbye to the people you love. She looked at each of the volunteers in turn. Her eyes were soft, almost sad. I will not lie to you. We will probably die. The Vec have killed better soldiers than us. But if there is even a small chance to end this war, we must take it. For humanity, Hana said. For humanity, Minji echoed. Nari just nodded silently. Tay looked at these women. These survivors. These fighters. They barely knew him. They had every reason to hate him, to fear him, to leave him behind. But they were willing to die beside him. I spent 3 years being invisible, he said quietly. Running, hiding, thinking I was broken. But you showed me that I am not broken. I am just different. And maybe that difference can save us all. He stood tall, his voice growing stronger. I do not know if we will win. I do not know if we will survive. But I know one thing for certain. He looked at Yuna, and his eyes burned with determination. The Vec have never met someone they cannot see. They have never fought an enemy they cannot predict. They think they have won. They think humans are finished. A small smile crossed his face. They are wrong. The surface was worse than Tay remembered. Much worse. Seoul was no longer a city. It was a hive. Strange black towers rose from the ground where buildings once stood. Thick cables ran between them like the threads of a giant spider web. The air was heavy with a strange smell, something between metal and rotting flesh. The team moved slowly through the ruins, staying in the shadows. Yuna led from the front, her weapon ready. Hannah followed close behind, watching every corner. Minji carried a heavy pack full of explosives and tools. Nari stayed in the middle, protecting Sue's neural disruptor like it was her own child. And Tay walked ahead of them all, alone and exposed. The Vec were everywhere. Tall gray soldiers patrolled the streets with their 4 arms ready for combat. Smaller drones floated through the air, scanning for human life. Larger creatures, the size of trucks, crawled along the buildings like insects. But none of them saw Tay. He walked right past them. He stepped over their cables. He even touched a drone once, pushing it aside to clear a path. The machine did not react. To its sensors, nothing was there. Clear, Tay whispered into his radio. Move forward. 20 meters. The women followed his voice, trusting him completely. They had no other choice. Halfway through the city, they found the shuttle port. Dozens of Vec shuttles sat on landing pads, waiting to carry soldiers to the orbital station. Nari studied them with expert eyes. "That one," she whispered, pointing to a medium-sized shuttle. "It is a transport craft. It has enough room for all of us, and the flight controls should be simple enough." "Guards?" Yuna asked. "4 soldiers. 2 by the door. 2 inside." Tay nodded. "I will handle them. Wait for my signal." He walked toward the shuttle like he was taking a morning stroll. The 2 vet guards stood perfectly still, their black eyes staring at nothing. Tay passed between them, so close he could feel the cold air coming off their gray skin. They did not move. Inside the shuttle, 2 more guards sat at control panels, monitoring data from the hive mind. Tay studied them for a moment, then reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. Sue had made it for him. She called it a neural spike. A quick burst of electricity to the Vec's nervous system. He placed the spike against the first guard's neck and pressed the button. The creature shuddered once and collapsed. The second guard started to turn, but Tay was faster. Another spike, another collapse. He keyed his radio. "Clear. Come now." The women ran across the landing pad, keeping low. Within seconds, they were all inside the shuttle. Nari jumped into the pilot's seat and began working the controls. "Vec technology is strange," she muttered. "But flying is flying. Give me a minute." The shuttle hummed to life. Through the window, they could see more Vec turning toward the sound. Warning lights began to flash. "They know something is wrong," Hana said. "They do not know what," Yuna replied. "That is enough. Nari, get us in the air. Now." The shuttle lifted off the ground, just as a dozen Vec soldiers reached the landing pad. They fired their weapons, but the shots went wide. They were aiming at nothing. They could not see their target. For the first time in 3 years, humans escaped a Vec stronghold without a single casualty. The orbital station grew larger in the viewport. It was massive, a mountain of metal and organic material floating above the Earth. At its center, a pulsing red light marked the Queen's chamber. "We need to land in Section 7, Sue said, studying her map. "From there, it is a straight path to the Queen's core. Tay will carry the disruptor. The rest of us will provide cover if needed." "If needed," Minji laughed nervously. "You mean when needed." The shuttle docked without trouble. The Vec system accepted their ship because it was a Vec ship. Simple logic from simple minds. They stepped into the station. The corridors were dark and wet, covered in strange organic material. It was like walking through the inside of a giant creature. Vec soldiers stood at every corner, watching, waiting, and completely blind to Tay-Dot. He led the team forward, finding paths through the patrols. His heart was pounding, but his hands were steady. He had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. He just did not know it until now that they were almost at the Queen's chamber when everything went wrong. Nari saw a shadow move and panicked. She fired her weapon without thinking. The shot hit a wall, making a loud noise that echoed through the entire station. Every Vec in the corridor turned toward the sound. "Run!" Yuna shouted that the team scattered. Minji threw a bomb behind them, creating a wall of fire that slowed the Vec down. Hana grabbed Nari and pulled her behind a support beam. Yuna fired shot after shot, covering their retreat, but more Vec were coming. Dozens of them. Hundreds. The hive mind knew there were intruders. It did not know exactly where, but it was searching. Tay looked at the chaos around him. His friends were trapped. In minutes, they would be dead. He had to do something. He remembered something Sue had told him during their preparations. The Vec communicated through a specific frequency. Their language was not words, but vibrations. Neural pulses that carried meaning across the hive mind. Sue had taught him one word. One command. A frequency that meant stop or sleep in Vec biology. "It is dangerous," she had warned him. You will be sending a signal directly into their nervous system. If it does not work, they will know exactly where you are." Tay had no other choice. He stepped out of cover and walked toward the Vec commander. The creature was huge, taller than the others, with bright red marks on its body. It was giving orders, directing the hunt. Tay walked right up to it. He leaned close to the commander's head, where a small membrane served as its ear, and he whispered. The sound was strange, not quite a word, not quite a noise. It was a vibration, a pulse, something that existed between sound and thought. The Vec commander froze. Its black eyes went empty. Its forearms fell to its sides. Its body swayed once, then collapsed to the ground like a puppet with cut strings. The other Vec in the corridor stopped moving. They were connected to the commander. When it fell, they lost their guidance. One by one, they dropped, their bodies shutting down. Silence fell over the corridor. Una stared at Tay with wide eyes. "What did you do?" "I told it to sleep," Tay said. His voice was shaking. "Sue taught me. I did not know if it would work." "It worked," Minji breathed. "Oh my God, it worked." Tay looked at the fallen Vec. For 3 years, these creatures had hunted humanity. They had destroyed cities, killed billions, ended worlds. They were unstoppable, but they could not stop what they could not see. They could not fight what they could not hear. "The Queen's chamber is close," Tay said. "We need to move before more arrive." Una nodded, her face set with new determination. "You heard him. Let us finish this." They ran toward the red light, toward the heart of the hive, toward the end of the war. And for the first time, they believed they might actually win. The Queen's chamber was not what Tay expected. He had imagined a throne room, a command center, something that showed power and control. Instead, he found a nightmare. The chamber was enormous, bigger than any building Tay had ever seen. The walls were made of living tissue, pulsing and breathing like the inside of a giant heart. Strange cables hung from the ceiling, connecting to a massive shape in the center of the room. The Vec Queen. She was not a creature. She was a mountain. Her body stretched across the entire chamber, a twisted mass of gray flesh and neural tissue. Thousands of cables ran from her body into the walls, the floor, the ceiling. She was connected to everything. She was the hive mind itself, and for the first time in 3 years, something saw Tay. The Queen's eyes opened. Not 2 eyes, not 10, but hundreds. They covered her massive body like stars in a dark sky. Each one turned toward Tay. "You," a voice said inside his head. It was not sound. It was thought, pure and direct. "I sense you." "No, I sense nothing." "You are nothing." Tay felt the Queen's mind pressing against his own. She was trying to understand him, trying to find his signal in the endless noise of the hive. But she could not. He was a void, a gap, a hole in her perfect network. "What are you?" she demanded. "You are not real. You cannot be here." "I am here," Tay said out loud. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. "And I am very real." Behind him, Una and the others entered the chamber. They stopped when they saw the Queen, their faces pale with fear and wonder. "The disruptor," Tay said. "Give it to me." Nari handed him the device. It was small, about the size of a book, with a single red button on top. Sue had spent weeks building it. She said it would send a feedback pulse through the hive mind, breaking the Queen's connection to her children. "If you are close enough," Sue had warned, "it should work. But you need to be right next to her." Within arm's reach, Tay started walking toward the Queen. "Stop him!" The Queen screamed into the hive mind. "Kill them all." The walls of the chamber began to move. Vec soldiers emerged from hidden passages, dozens of them, their weapons ready. They surrounded the team, cutting off all escape. Go! Yuna shouted. We will hold them. She opened fire. Minji threw her last bombs. Hana and Nari fought back to back, their weapons blazing. The Vec fell in waves, but more kept coming. There were too many. Tay ran. The Queen's eyes followed him, but her soldiers did not. They fired at the others, at the visible threats. They could not see the real danger walking right toward their master. You cannot hurt me, the Queen said. Her voice was weaker now, uncertain. I have conquered 1,000 worlds. I have destroyed civilizations older than your species. You are nothing. That is the problem with being nothing, Tay said. He climbed onto the Queen's massive body, feeling her flesh pulse beneath his feet. Nothing has nothing to lose. He raised the disruptor. Wait. The Queen cried. I can give you power. I can make you part of the hive. You will never be invisible again. You will be connected. You will belong. For a single moment, Tay hesitated. His whole life, he felt alone, different, broken. The idea of belonging, of being part of something greater, was tempting. But then he looked back at his team. At Yuna, fighting with everything she had. At Hana, protecting her friends. At Minji and Nari, refusing to give up even against impossible odds. They had given him something the Queen never could. They had given him a family. I already belong, Tay said. He pressed the button. The effect was immediate. A pulse of energy exploded from the device, tearing through the Queen's neural network. She screamed, not with her mouth, but with her mind. The sound echoed across 1 billion psychic links, reaching every Vec on the planet. The Queen's body began to shake. Her eyes flickered and went dark, one by one. The cables connecting her to the hive sparked and burned. The living walls of the chamber started to collapse. Across the world, Vec soldiers stopped in their tracks. Their movements became random, confused. Without the Queen's guidance, they did not know what to do. Many simply collapsed, their bodies shutting down. We need to leave. Yuna shouted over the chaos. This whole station is falling apart. They ran for the exit, dodging falling debris and dying Vec. The corridor shook around them. Emergency lights flashed red. The station was dying. Just like its Queen Dot, they reached the shuttle bay, just as the main structure began to break apart. Nari jumped into the pilot's seat and started the engines. The shuttle lifted off seconds before the floor collapsed beneath them. Through the viewport, they watched the orbital station burn. It fell toward Earth like a second sun, breaking apart in the atmosphere. The sky turned orange and gold, and for a moment, the darkness of the Vec occupation was replaced by light. We did it, Hana whispered. Tears ran down her face. We actually did it. Yuna put her hand on Tay's shoulder. No, he did it. The man who walks unseen. The shuttle descended toward Korea. As they flew over the ruined cities, they saw something amazing. People were emerging from their bunkers, looking up at the sky. They saw the burning station. They saw the motionless Vec soldiers on the ground. They saw hope. When the shuttle landed near Bunker 17, the women who had stayed behind came running out. Among them was Bora. Her face was wet with tears. I saw it, she said. The Vec outside our bunker just fell down. I thought it was a trick. But then I saw the station falling, and I knew. She looked at Tay. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she bowed her head. I was wrong about you. I'm sorry. Tay shook his head. Do not apologize. You had every reason to doubt. But we are on the same side now. All of us. In the weeks that followed, word spread across the globe. The Vec invasion was not over, but it was broken. Without the Queen, the remaining Vec were scattered and weak. Human resistance groups began taking back territory. For the first time in 3 years, humanity was fighting back and winning. Bunker 17 became the center of the new resistance. Yuna led the military efforts. Sue worked on new technologies based on what they had learned. Hana recorded everything, making sure the story would survive for future generations. And Tay? Tay kept walking. There were more Vec out there. More hives, more queens on other worlds. The war was far from over, but he did not walk alone anymore. He had found something worth fighting for. Something worth living for. One night, before leaving on his next mission, he stood on a hill overlooking the bunker. Yuna found him there, staring at the stars. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "I spent 3 years being invisible," he said. "I thought it was a curse. A mistake. Something broken inside me. But now I understand." He turned to look at her, and his eyes were calm, clear, and full of purpose. "I was invisible so that I could be seen when it mattered most. So that I could stand in front of an enemy that conquered galaxies and say, 'You missed one. And that one will be your end.'" Yuna smiled. It was a rare thing, her smile. But Tay had earned it. "The Vec ruled 1,000 worlds," she said. "They listened to every thought, every heartbeat, every fear. They thought they understood everything about their enemies. But they did not understand humans," Tay finished. "No," Yuna agreed. "They did not." She looked up at the stars, where the Vec came from, where more battles waited. "They learned something today. Something they will never forget." "What is that?" Yuna's smile grew wider. "Sometimes the quietest ones are the deadliest." Tay laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in years. Then he walked into the night, toward the next battle, toward the next victory dot, and the Vec, for the first time in their long history, learned to fear the silence.